Welcome to International Coaching Week 2026, an initiative by the ICF Saudi Arabia chapter. Our vision is to be the leading catalyst for excellence in coaching and personal development in Saudi Arabia. We aim to empower individuals and organizations to realize their full potential and achieve sustainable growth through coaching. Our mission is to advance the art, science, and practice of professional coaching in Saudi Arabia. We do this by providing high-quality education, fostering a strong community of skilled coaches, promoting ethical standards, and creating opportunities for growth and collaboration. Here is the ICF Saudi Arabia Chapter Board, dedicated to achieving our vision and mission.
Your mute off.
Hello everyone. Welcome to another exciting session. At the International Coaching Federation Saudi chapter, our work is guided by a clear vision to be the leading catalyst for excellence in coaching and personal development in Saudi Arabia, empowering individuals and organizations to realize their full potential and achieve sustainable growth through power of coaching. We are committed to our mission to advance the art, science, and practice of professional coaching in Saudi Arabia. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the ICF Saudi chapter, we are honored and pleased to have you with us today. With you today, Suhad Looney. I am the Director of Knowledge and Credential, and I am extremely honored and pleased to have you and introduce to you our guest, Dr. Zaina Ousub Al-Aswad, as she is going to present for us the Coach as Catalyst, Unlocking Potential in Uncertain Times. Let me introduce Dr. Zaina for you. She is an executive leadership coach, a leadership development expert, and speaker with extensive experience in coaching individuals, leaders, and organizations across the Middle East and internationally. She is known for integrating emotional intelligence, neuroscience, and human-centered leadership into transformational coaching experiences. Through her work, she supports clients in navigating change, unlocking potential, and leading with greater awareness, resilience, and impact. Kindly, I ask you before we start to keep your mics closed unless you are asked to open them and share. Please put your questions in the chat so we can read them. And in order to make sure that you get your certificates by the end of the session, please make sure that your names are shown clearly in your attendance in the session. So the mic is yours, Dr. Zaina, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I would like to share my screen first. And at the beginning, let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, good. All right. So good evening to you and good morning to those around the world. I don't know if you're all in Saudi Arabia. I'm actually in Houston now. And I really want to thank the ICF Saudi Arabia chapter for this invitation. Really, in this beautiful International Coaching Week, I have had the honor of presenting in so many places, and I will keep doing so for some till next week. And I'm so blessed that I get to interact with so many coaches across the globe in this beautiful world where we all meet to do one thing, and that is to serve humanity. So it is really a pleasure to be with this community of coaches who are always to supporting growth and leadership and human transformation, especially now during these times that are becoming really very complex and very uncertain. And I've done my piece of work. I'm Lebanese, as Suha was introducing me, Coach Suha, and I was born in Africa, Ghana, and I lived in Europe, and then I moved to Lebanon in the Middle East, and now I currently live in the States and the Middle East. So my fear of uncertainty I did a very long time ago, and just by being Lebanese is enough for me to actually go through all of the dynamics of uncertainty. But however, that development of leadership, emotional intelligence, well-being, and helping individuals and organizations navigate um, with greater awareness and resilience and humanity actually came across time, and meeting honestly a lot of coaches and leaders along the path that has actually taught me a lot. As you are all seeing, people are no longer coming only with goals and action steps. They are coming with uncertainty. They are coming with overwhelm. They are coming with transitions. They are coming with questions around identity, meaning, and adaptability. And today, coaching is becoming really much more than a performance. It's becoming a space where people really reconnect with themselves. So this would be in this presentation today and webinar, I want it to be less of a lecture and more of a shared reflection together as coaches. And I invite you throughout this session to simply notice what resonates with you as human beings before being coaches, and what challenges you, and what this moment is asking from us as also coaches today. The flow we're going to go through is the following. We're going to start by exploring the reality of really uncertainty today, and at the organizational level, but also psychologically and emotionally, and how this is showing up in our coaching conversations more than ever. Then we're going to move to the idea of coach as a catalyst, and what does it really mean to create transformation without forcing it, and how does the coach in his role help that in the times today. And after that, we're going to explore the practical coaching approaches that will help build emotional resilience, that will help build adaptability and emotional flexibility. And what I personally believe is becoming increasingly important today is helping clients reconnect with meaning, and a new terminology I'm gonna introduce today to you. It's called mattering. So we're gonna have a small reflective exercise, because this needs to be more experiential for the learning, and then we'll look for a couple of powerful questions, and finally we're gonna close with a bit of reflections and hopefully a meaningful discussion together. So please interact, please ask, please chat with me, and just notice what resonates with you personally. And as we are actually navigating uncertainty ourselves a lot, everywhere. I invite you to, as coaches, spending so much time holding space for others, but rarely pause and to notice really what uncertainty is asking you also What is it asking from you today? So I just want to open this today. So as humans and as coaches, every day we are living this uncertainty. So I'm curious and to know what is one word that describes what your clients are bringing most into the coaching today with them. And if you can drop it in the chat, and Suha can help me in seeing what these are. One word that they are bringing mostly to their coaching these days.
We have some answers, Zaina. Fear, clarity, focus, stress, job security concerns, confusion, stress repeats again, meaning identity work clocked as goals planning, overthinking, overwhelm, loss of passion,
Whoa.
distractions, and the
Wow.
list goes on.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. And I think many of us are noticing that these coaching conversations are becoming deeper. I don't know how many of you have been coaches. I've been a coach for 20 plus years. And these conversations are becoming deeper. They're becoming more human. They are becoming more emotionally layered than before. And this is exactly why I wanted us to have this conversation today. I'm going to start with a story that really touched me. And excuse my small mistake on my slide. Not long ago, I was speaking with a leader mother, and she looked really very well from the outside. She was managing work, she was managing family, she has responsibilities, she's always showing up for everyone around her. But when we were talking, she suddenly said something very, very, very powerful. Very simple, but very powerful. She said, I honestly do not remember the last time someone asked me how I was without needing something from me afterwards. And that moment stayed with me because I realized how many people today are carrying emotional exhaustion silently. So they keep functioning, they keep giving, they keep performing, they keep surviving. However, internally, there's tab, and I don't know if I can speak in Arabic. I don't know how many people are non-Arab speaking here. They feel
We have
lonely.
few non-Arab speaker.
Okay. So, but internally there is exhaustion, there is loneliness, there is a dissociation from oneself. And I think this is why coaching today is even more than performance or goal achievement. It is becoming finally a space where people finally feel heard, they finally feel seen, they finally feel safe, and they are able to reconnect with their clarity, with meaning, and with possibility again. So sometimes what transforms people is not a very big strategy. It's finally having this space where they can breathe, where they can reflect, and where they feel they matter. And ultimately, this is what is happening. But before we talk about coaching, I think it is very important to acknowledge that the reality of people that are living today is so uncertain. We are not really dealing with occasional uncertainty. We are dealing with something that's unconditionally moving on, and we don't know till when. It has become the environment many people are functioning inside every single day. So I think what makes it even harder today is not only the amount of change, but the speed of change. People barely adapt to one transition before another one appears. So take a look. We see clients today navigating multiple layers of pressure at the same time. On one side, we have rapid AI and technological disruption, economic instability, and fear around the future of work, as we have heard at the beginning. People are constantly asking themselves also, who am I now? Can I keep up with everything? What value am I bringing? And honestly, I think one of the biggest silent struggles today is something else. It's emotional overload. People are exhausted emotionally. I am a person that deals with burnout, and I started this with physicians way back in 2008 because part of my work is healthcare. But everyone is burnt out now. It's like everyone. Not necessarily because they are weak, but because they are adapting nonstop. There is this chronic fatigue, this chronic ambiguity, this chronic decision fatigue, performance to pressure. Pressure to perform. They have a deep sense of loss of control for many people. And this is important for us as coaches to understand. Most clients are not lacking in really motivation or capability or intelligence. Very often, they come to us emotionally overloaded and they are cognitively exhausted. And from a well being perspective, I can go on and on and on for hours on that because the relationship is so holistic that it is the emotional overload and burnout does affect us physically and vice versa. And we can do something about it. But I will not go into that because that is pure health and well-being, and there is a way to manage that also. We need to understand that this ambiguity that's happening affects people at several levels, psychologically and neurologically. So it is physiological. The brain naturally seeks certainty. The brain needs predictability, and the brain needs safety. So when uncertainty becomes a constant that we are living in, what happens to our nervous system? It starts reacting automatically to that. That's why uncertainty is not only a mental challenge, but it is an experience that affects us neurologically, physiologically, and psychologically. And clients today move into fear, emotional reactivity, overthinking, or even paralysis and avoidance. Sometimes, as I said, they're not stuck in lack of motivation. Their nervous system is overloaded. And I think this is very important for us to understand when we coach. This changes the way we coach. This is why we are looking at research from how we are changing the work and the coaching with Gen Zers and with Gen with the millennials. It is no more pushing into immediately towards action. We first need to help them reconnect with their emotional regulation. And our role here is really not helping them perform. It's helping them regain this internal stability and having the certainty in their resourcefulness when they do that, in their gold. And what I personally find beautiful is that even within this ambiguity, people can still really develop resilience, clarity, agility, not because the uncertainty is going to disappear, but because they can become stronger when they navigate this uncertainty. And that is their gold. That is their gold. That is why we became coaches in the first place, to help them discover that. But we have to navigate that. So how do we do it? So when I wanted to create this session, I reflected so much on the word catalyst. But honestly, I think coaching today is less about really reaching the goal in one session and more about helping reconnecting with their own internal movement again.
Lena, if I may share, we have two comments in the chat.
Of course.
Fariha says, yes, the mental stress has many physical impacts. And Reed says, how do we build comfort with continuous discomfort?
Yes, I will come to that by actually reconnecting them to what I am going to talk about eventually now, about their definition of mattering, actually. And this is, we're getting to that. I want you to think for a moment about the clients who come into sessions feeling this discomfort, feeling overwhelmed, feeling lost clarity. They are emotionally exhausted. The first instinct that we usually have as coaches is we want to help, we want to fix, we want to guide quickly because we want to relieve them. So if I want to think of a catalyst, and honestly, when we want to help, fix, and guide, this is coming from care, and this is rushing to solve a problem. This will remove the client's opportunity to discover themselves. And for me, a catalyst is someone who creates movement, like in chemistry, without forcing it. You create that movement. Someone who helps emerge awareness naturally for them from session to session, not necessarily in the session. And I remember once I was coaching a leader who kept asking me, just tell me what decision you think I should make. And there was a moment where I really, internally, it was a temptation. I wanted to become the expert because I am a leader of 8 organizations. But then I rebooted my presence and I was like, how am I helping this client grow or help him? Am I helping him depend on me? So instead of giving answers, I stayed curious. And eventually in the session, he paused and he said, I think for the first time, I'm hearing myself clearly. And honestly, I think those are the moments that remind us of what coaching really is. It's not rescuing, it's not fixing, it's not becoming the smartest person in the room, but really becoming a really, really, really thinking partner, a reflective mirror, sometimes simply a grounded presence in uncertainty. And transformation often begins usually when clients receive answer. This doesn't happen. It's when they begin to see themselves differently. It's those insights. And that is a catalyst. So how do we create this movement without forcing it? So I'm going to invite you into a small reflection for a moment. Think about this. Sitting in front of you is a client, emotionally overwhelmed, confused, maybe even desperate for answers. And internally, you're feeling that you need to help this person quickly. And sometimes we would even go to in our heads that I know exactly what they need to do. I'm sure every one of us as coaches has experienced this at some point, or we will be biased. And really, as I said before, it comes from a place of our empathy. And what I'm going to invite you to reflect on is, if this happens, try and think of it in a way, what would you do? Now, I have a couple of things here that will guide you, but just disregard the slide a bit. What would you do?
Can we rephrase the question, Zaina, please?
Yes. So I'm asking that you have a client in front of you, overwhelmed, emotionally exhausted, not feeling well, and he needs help. What would you do in that moment? And they verbalized. Creating movement is, when we say co-creating frameworks for the client to explore, means staying silent, having the ability to trust the client's capacity even when they cannot see it.
We have answers in the chat, Zainab. Shall I read them?
Yes, please.
Help them ground, attend to the nervous system. Alia says, listen. Another answer is listen to him deeply and give him space. Allow feelings to be there. Ask him what her advice for someone in the same situation.
Yes. All are right. But also, I want you to think of yourselves as coaches first. How many of you and us in our coaching journey, we wanted to save the client? And that presence piece is the movement. And we need to, in one of the sessions this week, I explained what happens to us neurologically and biologically in presence with the client. And that space holding, that reflective mirroring, that thinking with them aloud, that silence and that listening is through one thing, your presence. It's your presence. This is what creates movements. And your presence doesn't come just before you enter the session. It comes across time working on it. So it takes months of mastery. And this is what shifts a masterful coach from another. So this is what helps creating movement in times of uncertainty. It is that presence. Now, of course, powerful reflective questioning are very important, but that place where they can tap into their own is what is the most important. Before I move into specific coaching approaches, I want to ask you something. People, you said that people in these times, they need a lot of things. Maybe they need, and please share with me in the chat how much, what do they need? I would say they need clarity, they need safety, they need trust, they need hope, they need direction, they need grounding, they need support, and they need much more maybe. And honestly, what is interesting is this, most of these are not in, they are not strategies, they are human needs. So if people want only short answers and problem solvers, they are not going to be able to think very clearly. And I think this shifts the way we coach, because we say resilience is not only about bouncing back. It's about staying emotionally present. It's about continuing with what's happening in ambiguity. It's rebuilding trust in oneself. It is finding meaning while things are still very unclear. So in this section, I would love for us to explore together what actually helps human beings stay psychologically flexible and emotionally grounded in uncertainty. And while we go through these approaches, I invite you to think of a current client in your mind. Which of these approaches might support them most?
We already have a lot of beautiful answers,
Yes,
Zaina.
I'd love to
They're
hear.
in, yeah. Remind them that they showed up to the session, so they are already working towards helping themselves, and acknowledge their self-awareness for raising the concern. They are not at the beginning, they are already in the effort, and you can name their traction thus far. And another answer, you need to be understood, and they need to be to understand what they really need.
Yeah, you need to understand what they really need. And that is another incompetency number 3 when we are looking at locking at this agenda and finding the outcomes of the session. And we have coaches rushing always to that. And yes, what they really are for now. And this comes directly into what I need to discuss now. So I want to introduce a concept, maybe new, maybe not, that I personally find really very powerful. And I have been searching for a word for us Lebanese people that have been through war, born through war, and they keep saying resilience, 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 and all the time. And I came across this beautiful um, terminology. It's called defiant aliveness. And I'd love to start with a question for all of you. When you think about clients today, do you think that people are truly living or surviving? And if you'd like, write one word in the chat: living, surviving, coping, disconnected, overwhelmed. And honestly, I think this is one of the deepest human challenges today, because many people are functioning, they're achieving, they are performing, but internally, are they fully alive? So I love this terminology of defined aliveness. And I personally believe not only the Lebanese are defined aliveness, because we dance at night and we have bombs in the morning. We are, and this is, and we started talking about, okay, so what are we? Are we numb? What are we? But the world has become the same now. So defined aliveness is this human decision to continue living fully and meaningfully despite uncertainty, despite emotional pain or ambiguity. And if I had time, I would go into the research of it from Pamela Lardy. And it came from PTSD and trauma survivors as veterans and war survivors and all of that. But the research is beautiful. It is this inner voice that says, I still choose life. I still choose meaning. I still choose to move forward against all odds. But what I find even more powerful is its connection to mattering. And mattering is different than purpose. Because resilient alone is not enough anymore. People need to feel they matter. And mattering is so deep because purpose alone is not enough. A person can have goals, responsibilities, and even success, but internally, am I seen? Am I emotionally invisible? Am I disconnected from my value? So, my other question to you as coaches, how often do you think clients are actually searching for certainty versus searching for significance?
We have a nice engagement for the question of defined aliveness, and it's very interesting expression, Zena. Some says surviving rarely living. What a bold idea, defined aliveness. People are on autopilot. They're surviving, not necessarily thriving, in the wheel of surviving. That's very interesting expression.
Yeah. So, and really, this is really what's interesting me a lot these days for well-being, because I do a lot of well-being and leadership, and I really want to see how people think they matter. And I think this is the solution for living in these uncertain times, or one of the solutions. And I think it changes the way we coach, because sometimes the greatest gift coaching offers is not motivation. It's helping someone reconnect with the feeling, I matter. My existence has impact. Doesn't matter from where they come from or what spiritual background or what religion, or it doesn't matter. My existence has impact. I still have meaning here. So this is also anchored with our presence as coaches, and it will serve the transformation. So one of the biggest sources, I think, of anxiety today is that people are trying to control things that are fundamentally uncontrollable. The economy, technology, organizational instability, global uncertainty. And honestly, the more people try to control uncertainty, the more exhausted we are going to become. Mahek?
Yes, definitely.
So the problem isn't that people are weak or they are fighting something they are not able to control. They are. So I want to ask you all something. When clients come into a coaching overwhelmed, like I asked before, and I'm hampering on this idea a lot because, as you said at the beginning, most of the clients that you are seeing are those clients. What do you notice they are usually trying to control the most? What are they trying to control the most? And write it for me in the chat if you'd like.
What would they like to control?
Yeah, like what are they trying to control the most when they come into the coaching these days?
Control consequences, control other people.
What else?
In the moment, their emotions,
Mm.
the outcomes,
Mhm.
their plight, image, their life.
So I think this is where coaching creates an important shift. So instead of asking, how do I control uncertainty, we begin asking, who do I become within uncertainty? مين أنا in these uncertain times? Because maybe we cannot control external instability, but we can expand our internal capacity when we understand. We can strengthen our awareness, our emotional regulation, our psychological flexibility. We know I have limitations here and not. Our adaptability, our mindset, and our intentional action on a daily basis. And here, if we look at resilience, then the meaning becomes different. Because resilience becomes the ability to remain grounded while things are unclear and to move without having all the answers, the ability to trust even during the ambiguity. And I think one of the greatest things coaching does is helping these people reconnect with their internal capacity and their internal, when this happens, their external certainty will disappear to a certain extent.
If I may say also to connect what would really matter for them.
Yeah, mattering. This is exactly what I said, yeah. I want you to take a small pause, and I want us not to, as coaches here, I want us to remain just human beings if possible. And this is not something you need to answer publicly unless you want to. I just want to invite you into a reflection about a moment in your life where uncertainty eventually became transformational for you. And I know that all of us went through this because all of us are coaches here, or else we're not coaches. So maybe at the beginning it felt uncomfortable, confusing, painful, non-realistic, and it's not going to happen. But somehow later on we realized that that period changed something integral in you. So reflect on that moment. What are the inner strengths that emerged when you stopped resisting the unknown? Maybe you stopped resisting courage. Maybe you started looking at trust more and acceptance more and adaptability, and you had more self-awareness, faith, or even resilience you didn't have, or your defiant aliveness, or the mattering that you are bringing, or what you are aligning with in your purpose.
Reed says it's interesting to consider the distinction between mattering and what matters to someone.
Mm. Yeah, very interesting. And how do they matter? That is the the terminology coined in the wheel of joy that was coined by Dr. Lardy. And veterans that had post-traumatic stress disorder, severe. Stay with that for a minute. What I find beautiful is that often our greatest growth comes from periods we initially resisted the most. And this is important in coaching because sometimes transformation does not happen when the uncertainty disappears. It happens when people begin relating to uncertainty differently. And the coach brings that energy with them to the sessions. Because if we are not, we are going to reflect that from our nervous system to their nervous system. Since we do a lot of powerful questioning, I will share with you some powerful questions that help clients reconnect with clarity, with identity, possibility, and their own inner wisdom. And it is that that is going to create movement. It is that that is going to create transformation. And it is that that is going to understand their own defined aliveness and what is really mattering for them and how do they matter in the world. These are some questions that can create space, awareness, and movement. And I'm going to share the slides with the chapters so you don't need to, you can take a picture, but I'm going to share everything. For example, when a client feels emotionally foggy or lost, instead of rushing into finding the outcome of the session, we can help them reconnect with their clarity. What truly matters right now to you? Or what do you know for certain today? And I love these questions because they help reduce emotional noise. And they bring the client back to what is real and grounded. Or who are you becoming through this experience is a question of their identity. Or where have you forgotten your own mattering? And often these are the moments where clients reconnect not only with answers, but with themselves. And I think possibility-based questions are very powerful also during uncertainty because they shift clients from fear into expansion. So what opportunity exists inside this challenge? And what if this transition is preparing you for something greater? These kinds of questions don't deny difficulty, but they help the clients relate to uncertainty differently. So as you leave today, maybe don't focus on creating more techniques. Maybe just one question that can create a different kind of conversation for your clients.
Those are very deep questions, Zaina. Thank you for sharing. I already shared them in the chat.
Yes, of course. And I want to close today with a story that stayed with me for a very long time. I once worked with someone, a leader, who has a very big leadership role. And again, they looked very successful from the outside and they looked extremely happy. The leadership roles included achievements, respect, performance, and really everything looked fine. But in one session, after speaking for almost an hour about work pressure and uncertainty, he paused and said, I honestly don't know who I am anymore outside of surviving. And the room became very quiet because I realized in that moment this is not somebody that is lacking competence or ambition. This was someone that is very exhausted from carrying uncertainty for too long without reconnecting with themselves. And I think that many people today are living this silently. People continue functioning, they continue leading, they continue achieving, they continue smiling, even if there is extreme exhaustion internally. And what touched me most is that this person later said something I will really never forget. He said, I think this is the first conversation in a long time where I am seen as a human being, not only as a performer, a doer. And honestly, this captures the power of coaching during uncertain times. Because uncertainty doesn't only test people, it reveals their fears, it reveals their values, it reveals our wounds, it reveals our traumas, it reveals our resilience and our humanity. And sometimes even forgotten parts of ourselves. And maybe our role as coaches is not to remove uncertainty from their lives. It is to help them remember who they are within this time of uncertainty. To really reconnect with clarity, to reconnect with possibility, to reconnect with identity, with resilience, and with mattering, and what really matters for them. And with the parts of themselves they thought they had lost. So before we close, I'd love to leave you with one final reflection. What kind of space do people experience when they are with you as a coach? And what kind of catalyst do you want to become for others during these uncertain times? Thank you.
Beautiful questions, Zaina. Do we have them on a slide? These
Yes,
questions?
I can send them to you, of course.
All right.
Or
Thank you so much.
I can drop them in the chat now, so don't worry.
That was amazing. We have one, I would call it a cute answer. Can we ever really be seen as a human by AI?
No. And I'm very categoric about that. And for those of you who were in one of my other sessions in ICW, I talked a lot about that and why. And it has to do with our nervous system. And it has to do with biology, actually, and more so. So the answer is definitely a no. But people, AI can definitely and will definitely replace an ACC level coach.
Amazing. Thank you for the beautiful insights, Zaina. We still have 3 minutes if you like to ask questions. would you like them to open the mic and ask questions?
Absolutely, I'd love that.
And before we move on, please make sure that you scan the code or click on the link for your feedback. We appreciate that. Okay, so who has a question? I love your approach, Zaina, approaching uncertainty with human center, what really matters inside. Very nice way of looking at it.
Yeah. And we have such a big role as coaches now in the world. We need more of us and more and more and more, because we are the people that are going to provide this presence and the space for humanity to heal, because there's a lot of suffering.
And things are moving fast, speedy, speedy.
Absolutely. And our brain doesn't have the capacity to contain it all. And we really need to take care of our kids, and our
Can you
Gen Zers
kindly
and
close the...
Gen
Mm.
Thank you for all the people that enjoyed the session, and I'm seeing your thank yous in the chats, and I am very blessed to be here with all of you, and I do thank the chapter for inviting me again, and hopefully to more success to the chapter and to more partnership, definitely moving along.
Thank you, Zaina. It's pleasure of having you here with us today with an amazing topic. Thanks a lot.
You're
And
welcome.
also, I would like to remind our attendees that our next session from the Saudi chapter will be by Ahmed Al-Ibyari. It's about coaching industry under the microscope. Thank you again. And if no more questions, we can close the session.
Thank you
We're
all.
all
Thank you.
thanking you.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Bye.
And have a wonderful